One of the most useful pieces of music theory you can learn is what chords go together in a particular key. However, there are a few really famous songs which don't quite fit in with the theory. Hi, so today we're looking at Wicked Game by Chris Isaak. Three main chords in this song: B minor, A, E. So the A and the E are major, the B's minor. So to determine which key this is in, what you can do is make an assumption that one of the three chords we're using is probably the key chord. Now that's quite a safe assumption because it's usually the case in most songs. If you've got three chords, one of them will be the key chord, probably 99 times out of 100. So the key to this song is probably B minor, or maybe it's A, or maybe it's E. So we'll have a look at which it is. So another thing that you can do is look at the chords in the song and look at which one comes first. Now in this particular case it's B minor because it goes B minor, E's a bit longer than the other two. Well, B minor's first. Now the first chord in a song or in a sequence is usually the key chord. Not always. 9 times out of 10 perhaps, maybe 8 times out of 10. The first chord is the key. So if the first chord's B minor, you can make a good guess that the key of the song is probably B minor. But that's not ultra reliable because quite often that isn't the case. It's just, 8, 9 times out of 10 it will be. So we could assume this is probably in B minor. And then what we do is check the other two chords and see if those were in the key of B minor. So I've written out the chords in the key of B minor, just basic chords, no sevenths or anything like that for now. So the basic chords in B minor are B minor, C sharp diminished, D, E minor, F sharp minor, G and A. And the ones that don't have anything written next to them like D or G, they're majors. So that's D major there. But the little circle there is diminished, C sharp diminished. Now an M is minor, you probably know this. So they're the chords in the key of B minor. So our song has got B minor, which is in the key, A, which is in key, and E, which isn't in key, because the E in the key of B minor is a minor chord. So that means those three chords don't fit into the key of B minor. Even though it kind of feels like the song probably is in B minor because the first chord is B minor and it keeps coming back to that. But according to the theory, it's not. Now another thing that you can do, which is quite reliable as well, is look at what chord finishes the sequence. And in particular, what chord would you land on at the very end of the song if you just wanted a final chord to strum? What would be the obvious one to end on? Even if it's not what they do in the song, what's the obvious one that your ear is leading you to? And in this song, you might say that could be an E, perhaps. So I was going to finish. Kind of sounds quite resolved. I don't know what you think. Put in the comments what you think about that. It's not completely 100% resolved, but it's quite a nice resolution there on the E. And that's what you're listening for. You're listening for something that sounds kind of finished and completed. So it could be the key of E. So written out the chords in the key of E, just like I did for B minor. They're the chords in the key of E. E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor, D sharp diminished. So B minor was our first chord in the song. Straight away, that's not in key, because in the key of E major, the B should be major, not minor. There's no M there. So that's major. So the B minor is out of key. We'll just check the others. The next chord was A, that's in key, and then it was E, which is obviously in key. So just like the first one, the first guess, which was the key of B minor, with this key, the key of E, 2 of the chords are in key, but 1 isn't. And we've only got 3 chords in our song. Now the least likely chord that would be the key in a sequence like that of 3 chords is the middle one, which would be A. What does it sound like if I end on an A? again, put in the comments what you think, but to me, it doesn't sound right for that song, but in terms of a 3-chord sequence, it does sound very resolved on that chord, on that A chord, but it just doesn't feel like that song or sound like that song. Just the A seems a strange chord to end that song on. Now, as an aside, the actual song ends on an E chord. So that's interesting. That makes me think Chris Isaak was feeling the song in the key of E and was thinking this is in the key of E. Right, so let's just check the key of A anyway. These are the main chords. A, B minor, C sharp minor, D, E, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished. So B minor was the first chord. That's in it. A, yep. E, yes. So all 3 of those chords are in the key of A. So that means that technically, in theory, Wicked Game is in the key of A major. Now this is where I think this is interesting. I don't know what you think. Let me know again in the comments. But I think it's interesting that what the theory book would say is this is in the key of A, because all 3 chords, and therefore all of the notes in the song, everything in the song really, comes from the key of A major. So it must be in the key of A. But there's another argument for this, which says that it's not in the key of A major, like Chris Isaak says, by ending on the E chord, it's in the key of E major. But if you remember when we looked at the chords in E major, there was a B minor in the song, but a B major in the key. So that's a wrong chord. And that's the way you can think of it. It's in the key of E major. But the B minor is technically a wrong chord. Now the way you can think of this is different ways, but one is to think, well, the B minor, rather than saying it's a wrong chord, let's just say it's a borrowed chord and it's come from another key and we've borrowed it from the other key to use in the song. And it kind of seems like a nicer way to talk about it, and it's how sort of music theorists talk about this kind of thing. They would say the B minor is borrowed from something called the parallel key. Now the parallel key to E major is E minor. So every major key has a parallel minor key, and it's just the one that's got the same kind of name. So if you're in a key of A major, the parallel minor would be A minor. So the parallel minor to the key of E major, which we think this is in, parallel key is E minor. Well, E minor does have a B minor in it. So you're just saying B minor has been borrowed from the parallel key. A is in the key of E anyway, and E is in the key of E. So that's probably the best way to explain it. But this isn't a definite lesson I'm giving here. I'm not saying this is the answer. It's more of a discussion. I'm giving you the options. I personally would say it's in the key of E, but the B minor is borrowed from the parallel key. But if I was soloing over it, and I wanted to play a guitar solo or to improvise over the top, I'd treat it as though it's in the key of A major, because then I know that all of my notes in my scales that I'm going to be using, they're all going to fit with the song, because technically the song's in the key of A major. Bit confusing, but that's how I would think of it. So I'm saying it's in E, it's got a borrowed chord from the parallel key, but if I'm soloing, I'll treat it like it's in A major. And this is where understanding a bit about theory and about what chords go in each key is useful. Because over those chords, you try it. You try soloing in an A major scale. That's going to fit perfectly over those chords. It won't sound like an A major scale because the song still feels like it's in the key of E. But the notes will all fit perfectly. So give that a go if you can. Right, please suggest other songs in the comments that you'd like to see me talk about in the same way. I find it quite interesting that there are songs that don't fit into the established kind of theory about what chords go in a particular key. There's a couple of others I've got planned, so I'm going to do some more, but please suggest any that you think might fit into this. Okay, thanks for watching.